Remember the theories about Hitler not perishing in the bunker, but allegedly fleeing to Argentina in a submarine? Well, today you'll learn about another theory that claims the fleeing Nazis took refuge in the underground city of Akkakor, located deep within the Amazon jungle's wilds. Don't forget to like this video, and be sure to write what you think about this sometimes wild and mysterious theory. Let's start from the beginning. In the 1970s, German researcher and journalist Karl Brugger flew to Brazil and ventured into the virgin depths of the Amazon jungle, to a settlement called Barcelos, on the banks of the Rio Negro River. He came here specifically to meet with a mysterious man named Tatunka Nara, who in the late 1960s emerged from the jungle as if from nowhere, dressed in a loincloth and carrying only a primitive bow. Yet, this was a Caucasian, white-skinned man who told an incredibly fantastic story about an ancient, lost underground city of Akkakor under the Amazon, inhabited by the Uga Mongulala Indian tribe. Tatunka Nara claimed to be the chief of this tribe. However, he spoke poor Portuguese with a German accent, leading locals to consider him just a mad white man who had lived too long in the wild jungle. When Brugger found Tatunka Nara, he engaged him in conversation, and Tatunka explained the origin of his German accent. According to him, in Akkakor, apart from the Indians, there lived numerous Germans, Nazis, who had hidden in the jungle after the end of World War II. Hitler, according to Tatunka, was among them. He also said his mother was German and his father was an Indian. Then he recounted that his tribe, Uga Mongulala, was once a thriving local people, and one day, gods descended from the heavens and built the magnificent underground city of Akkakor. Then they gave the Indians magical stones, with which one could see distant places, predict the future, and perform other amazing things. And the gods ruled in Akkakor, ruled over people and animals. They had ships faster than the flight of birds, ships that could reach their destination without sails or oars, both by day and by night. They had magical stones to look far and see cities, rivers, hills, and lakes. Everything that happened on Earth or in the sky was visible in these stones. But the underground homes were the most beautiful of all, and thus the gods passed them on to the chosen ones as their final gift. This is how Tatunka Nara quoted the tribe's legend. According to him, the city was surrounded by a high stone wall and had 13 entrances, with gates and tall watchtowers. In the city, there were lavishly decorated temples carved into rocks, enormous towers, pyramids, luxurious residential quarters, life-size statues, libraries full of extensive texts about the mysteries of the world and the universe, and a multitude of golden items. To illuminate underground, huge silver mirrors were used, positioned to capture sunlight and transmit it underground. Akkakor, however, was not the first city of its kind. Previously, there were 26 similar magnificent cities on the Amazon, but all were destroyed during the first great catastrophe, and Akkakor remained the last. Tatunka Nara often referred to these gods as former rulers, and claimed they originated from another solar system. He described to Brugger the layout of this city, and named the smallest details down to the street layout and all the buildings. He also assured that in the city, there are still tombs of some former rulers, where their mummified remains rest. Tatunka Nara also vividly described the customs and culture of Akkakor's inhabitants, doing so convincingly that it was impossible to think he had made it all up. When he finished, Brugger was completely convinced that this was the truth. In 1976, based on this interview, Brugger released the sensational book, The Chronicles of Akkakor, after which several expeditions immediately set off for the Amazon to find this mysterious and enigmatic city. The most famous among them were the expeditions of 1977 and 1978 led by Swiss Ferdinand Schmidt and Brazilian archaeologist Raldau Pires Brandão. Tatunka Nara personally volunteered to be their guide and led them through the jungle but never actually brought them to the city for unclear reasons. In 1979, Schmidt returned here again and even claimed to have found the city, but lost all evidence along with the camera and film. Tatunka Nara worked as a jungle guide in these parts for many years. And, by the way, in 1983, he worked with Jacques-Yves Cousteau's expedition. But already by then, something sinister began to happen here. Adventurous explorers began to disappear without a trace. In 1980, American John Reed went into the jungle with Tatunka Nara as his guide and never returned. In 1983, Tatonka accompanied Swiss Herbert Vanner, and he too vanished. His skull would be found in 1984 by a group of tourists. In the same year, in a strange death, Brugger himself perished. Someone shot him. This happened after he arrived in the vicinity of Rio de Janeiro and began his search hoping to find Akkakor. In 1987, Swedish yoga instructor Kristen Hauser disappeared without a trace after heading into the jungle with guide Tatun Kanara. Once again, the police turned their attention to Tatun Kanara. They had long suspected him of being involved in these mysteries, but there was no evidence against him. Tatun Kanara was never charged with any of the murders. In 1990, German Rüdiger Neberg claimed that Tatun Kanara was actually his former compatriot named Günther Hauck, who fled from Germany to Brazil in 1967 to escape debts. When Hauck's wife was found, she confirmed from a photograph that Tatun Kanara indeed resembled her former husband. After this revelation, the entire story of the city of Akkakor officially turned into a complete fabrication, and Tatun Kanara was accused of attempting fraud. Then, the disappearances of explorers were added to the accusations, suggesting he lured them into the wilderness and killed them for profit. However, even when cornered with such accusations, Tatun Kanara continued to insist that the story of Akkakor was entirely true, and that he was in no way involved in the disappearance of people, claiming even he did not know what happened to them. As there was no evidence against him, the authorities eventually backed off. Tatun Kanara still lives in the Amazon and regularly works as a local guide, continuing to tell the mysterious tale of Akkakor. He never explained why he does not return to the city. That's all for today. Don't forget to like this video, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for your attention, and goodbye.